and welcome to Crafts with Ash DIY and Decor. My name's Ashley, and today we are continuing along with our Halloween DIYs, and you're going to come with me as I decorate my mom's front porch for spooky season. First, if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that little notification bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Also, hit the drop down menu and click all so you're notified about all notifications. Then hop on over to Facebook and Instagram and let's get social. Join my crafting community by liking and following, and you'll be able to see behind the scene content I know you don't want to miss. So for today's video, I pulled my inspiration off of this witch wreath that my mom has had for years. She absolutely loves it, so I decided to go with a full-blown witch theme for her front porch. So for the first DIY, I'm going to take two of these tiki bar signs that I picked up in the summer, and I really loved the shape of these because I feel like if you DIY them for Halloween, they will give off a spooky vibe. So the first thing I'm going to do is sand down the back, or technically the front, because it is filled with glitter. So after I get that done, I'm just going to take two of these jumbo craft sticks, and I'm going to hot glue them to the middle of my signs, and that's how I'm going to attach the two signs together. So I just lined them up and then I hot glued them together. Now, each one of these signs did have holes at the top, so I purposely put the holes so they would be in the middle. And now you can see that I am taking my Dollar Tree spackling and just filling them in. So that helped because it helped to keep the spackling in, because it couldn't push through the other side, because when I glued the popsicle sticks it covered the holes. So now I'm just sanding the back down, and that's now going to be our front. And now I'm going to give this a really good coat of Waverly Chalk Paint in Pumpkin. So I am going to make sure to cover this entire thing, and including the sides. And as you can see, I kind of dabbed inside the holes, that way that was covered as well. After that dried, I'm going to take these stickers that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spell out broom parking. Now you are going to see that my O's are a different sticker because I didn't have any more of the other O's, but I really loved this font. This is a great alternative if you don't have a Cricut, and this is what I used to do all the time before I got my Cricut. I used to put stickers down and then paint over it and then peel the stickers off, and it gave a really cool effect, and it's an easy way of adding words to your projects. So I'm just going through lining them up. I don't know if you saw, but I did measure so it was even on both sides. Now I'm making sure that it's pressed down really good, and now I'm going to paint over my stickers and the entire sign with just some regular black acrylic paint, and this acrylic paint is from Apple Barrel. So I'm just making sure that it's completely covered. So then after that dries, I'm going to take my little weeding tool, or you can use any kind of little tool you have, and now I'm going to peel up all of the stickers, and look how cool that looks. So like I said, this is just a really easy way for you to add writing to your projects if you don't have a cutting machine or don't feel like using it, just like me at this point. So now you can see that there is some bleeding on there. The black paint kind of got on the orange writing a little bit, so I'm just taking more of that orange paint and a really small brush, and I'm just kind of cleaning it up. Now, I don't mind if a little bit of black paint got in the middle of there, because I just feel like it makes it look more creepy and spooky. I'm just kind of going over the parts that really, that were really bad. So I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit. All right, so next I'm going to take that same brush, and I'm just going to dry brush around the edges of my sign, and then I'm going to hit the middle of the sign as well. And as you can see, I'm just very lightly just like flicking it on there. I just want a little bit of highlighting with the orange paint, but not a ton. Real quick, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my YouTube channel. If you're new, thank you so much for choosing to stop by today. I really hope that you love what you see. If you're returning, you know I love you so much and I appreciate all of your wonderful support and your amazing comments. Please keep them coming. I may not be able to respond to every single one, but I promise you I do read every single one. So thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to show you what more I have in store. So after my painting was dry, I took this spider web, and now a little bit goes a long way. That is something I do know about spider webs. And I'm just kind of very messily, if that's a word, I'm just putting the spider web all over the front of my sign. Now, this is one thing I do on a lot of my Halloween projects just to take it up a notch. I put spider webs on almost everything. I just think that it adds that creepy and spooky touch, and it's so easy to do. So I'm just kind of using the grooves on the outside of the sign to connect it. At some points I did hot glue little pieces down, like if it didn't stretch all the way over or something, but you can see that it's just a little bit of spider web, not a ton. So you can still see what it says, but it looks old and it looks gross, and that, you know, spiders have been crawling all over this. So I really, like I said, I really love adding spider webs to my little signs and any of my Halloween DIYs. Now, of course, if you have a web, you have to have a spider. So what I did was hot glued the spider, one of these glitter spiders, to the top left hand corner of my sign. But I'm actually going to be taking that off in a second because I'm going to be adding something. Then I took one of these little purple brooms that I also got from the Dollar Tree, and I hot glued that down underneath my words. And I did have to hold it there until the glue set up. And then I took another one of these spiders and I hot glued that on there. Now for my front porch, I am going with the traditional lime green, black, orange, and purple because that was what was in my mom's wreath. So I'm just continuing with that. So to make a hanger for my sign, if you have watched my last few videos, you know I've not been able to find Halloween ribbon anywhere, and all of my craft supplies are still in storage from when we moved. So I have zero Halloween ribbon, so I really had to get creative. So I had some of this creepy cloth, and I'm just cutting off a little bit, and then I'm going to just turn it into a hanger. So I'm going to hot glue each one of the ends to the back of my sign. So this was really simple to do, and again, it added that creepy look, so it actually worked out pretty well. But because I have no Halloween ribbon, it did force me to have to get creative with some stuff. So I'm just kind of fixing it. Some of the pieces were shorter than others, so just making it look like a hanger. And then I'm going to hot glue the ends, like I said, to the back of my board. So this was a really easy way to use what I had to create a hanger. Then to give it extra support, I am going to go ahead and add some duct tape on each of the ends. And I do this while the glue is still hot because it's like the duct tape melts into the glue and it just kind of just bonds. So then I kind of felt like this needed something, so I took this ghost that I also had from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use my scissors to go ahead and cut that hat off. So I thought I could just rip it off, but it did not work like that. So now I'm just going to use my fabric scissors, and I am very careful not to cut the hat itself. And I will be using this ghost in another DIY coming up in this video, so I didn't, I kept it near. So I'm just going to go through and cut off the hat. This was a lot harder, not harder, but I thought that I could just rip it off, but I had to go through and cut it off. Not hard at all. But now after I got it finally off the sheet or whatever, the fabric, white fabric, I am just cutting the white fabric down so there's not a lot showing. And then I'm going to cut the tag off, and I'm going to cut the hanger off of the hat as well. I just want the hat. At first I was not going to cut off the hanger, and then you'll see that I actually do go back and cut it off. Okay, so here is where I decided to, oh, I forgot I stuffed the hat, sorry. I just took the Dollar Tree bag and I just stuffed the hat so it stood up straight. And then here is where I decided to take the spider off, and now I'm just going to stick the hat over the corner of that sign, and then I'm just going to hot glue it into place. I thought that this little hat added such a cute touch to this sign. Look how cute. Now, I do purposely hot glue it. You can see right here, it's kind of covering up the bee. I am going to move the brim of the hat just a little bit so more of the bee shows. But then I took that spider and re-glued it back on, but this time I put it on the ribbon of the hat. So I thought that this came out super, super cute, and it was easy to make. All right, for our next DIY, I picked up this sign from Five Below, and how perfect is this for a front porch or outdoor witch theme? So all I'm gonna do is add this decal that I cut from my Cricut, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. I don't know about you, but are any of my 90s people out there who grew up with the movie Double Toil and Trouble from Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen? That was one of my favorites, so I definitely wanted to incorporate that on this sign. And then I just simply hot glued a spider ring to the top, and I did cut off the ring part. Then I just felt like I wanted to add a little something else to this sign. So I took some poster paint, and this is glitter poster paint from the Dollar Tree, and I cut up a kitchen sponge, and I'm just using that and dabbing it all over the green parts of this sign. I mean, when I saw this sign at Five Below, it was screaming, "Hi, decorate me," because it was so plain. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect piece to put something on. And then after that glitter was dry, this sign was complete, and I absolutely loved how this one came out. And look, it took me minutes to do. Easy peasy. All right, so now I'm gonna grab my little ghost, and this is our third DIY, and I am just gonna I cut the legs off of the ghost, and now I'm kind of ripping the top so I can create a hole. Now all I'm gonna do is just take more of that sheet, I'm gonna cut it off, and I'm just going to stuff these little legs. So I am going to use like a skewer or dowel rod or something and stuff it in there. Now you can stuff these shoes as well, and that's what I did end up doing. This was very easy to do. It was just a little time consuming. So just to get the, the sheet all the way at the toe of the boot, but I did just do the best I could. And I really wanted to make these super full. We're going to add this to something, and I really wanted them to stand up straight. So like I said, I'm just taking that sheet. Now, I did have to take extra fabric. I ran out of the sheet to do the other one, but that's pretty much the whole process. So I'm just stuffing and stuffing and stuffing. So this is our third DIY today. So usually I show pictures of each DIY, but I thought we would just blow right through these, and you're going to be able to see everything when you decorate the front porch with me at the end of the video. So just hang tight because you'll see it come all together, and I cannot wait. All right, so I'm just continuing to stuff. Now you can see that there is a hole now. I did not make that hole. It just kind of happened where the boot meets like the leg part or the tights or whatever you want to call it. So I just used that to my advantage, and I was able to stuff the shoe. So now I'm sticking a dowel rod in there, and I have to hot glue the shoe back on. That way it all sticks together. And now I'm going to take my other boot and leg or whatever and do the exact same thing. This time, though, I did have to cut off the eyes of the sheet, and then I am just going to stuff and stuff and stuff. I did find it easier to use smaller chunks and do, one little chunk at a time. And now I'm just stuffing and stuffing and stuffing. Okay, so now that I have both stuffed, I did keep my dowel rods in there, and now I just wanted to kind of cover the bottom. So I'm just taking this black ribbon and just hot gluing it to the bottom of my little tights. So I'm just going to do that on both. There we go. And I really like how this kind of completed like the look. It kind of, made it look finished. To be honest, this is my only quote-unquote Halloween ribbon I have. It's just black plain ribbon. I have 0 Halloween ribbon right now. And it's not for lack of looking. I definitely have been looking. I don't know what the deal is. All right, so now I have my 2 stuffed legs. So next I'm gonna grab this Witch's Garden Rae Dunn piece. Now, if you don't have this piece, that's okay. You can grab a jack-o'-lantern, you can grab any kind of vase, and you can create this whole thing, this whole look. So after I got it unwrapped, I'm just taking some floral foam and I'm just gonna fill it. So it's mainly covered on the inside. And I did have to cut it down just a little bit because I really wanted the top to be flat. So you'll see how it just perfectly lays right in. There we go. Okay, so next I'm going to take some grocery bags and I'm just going to stuff them on the side so the foam does not move. This is a great way to get away or get out of hot gluing in case I ever want to change this. Then I took some of this moss and I'm just covering the top. And I am gluing down the moss to the foam just so it doesn't move. All right, next I'm gonna put my witch legs right in the middle. And I did put them so the legs were like opposite, so the toes were facing outwards. And then to fill in all of the holes, I'm gonna take these sparkly glitter sticks that I got from the Dollar Tree. And some of them I leave in the bunch just like that and stick it in. Some of them I do cut pieces off. So this is just something that you kind of just have to see how you like, how you want it to look, or kind of just play around with it. So that's exactly what I did. I'm just kind of playing here. So I'm just going to stick the orange and the black. I really wanted this to be orange and black themed, obviously. So I thought that this was super cute. So now I'm cutting just little pieces off and just sticking them around until I get it as full as I like and get the look that I was going for. All of these projects today are so easy to do. That's what I loved about this. But they made the front porch look so cool. Just wait. All right, so I'm just taking more of those sparkly sticks and just sticking them in, making it look full and spooky. I feel like my mom's front porch is a mix between spooky cute, and I love that look. Spooky cute. That's what I decided. That's from here on out, my Halloween type is spooky cute. All right, so now I'm just going to hot glue a little spider to the top. And then I did just kind of place a spider in the branches too, but I did not show it. But that was so cute, our little witch's garden. All right, for our next DIY, this one is super simple as well. I'm taking this Home Sweet Home sign that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna use the 2 biggest pieces, so the top little piece and then the bottom little piece. I'm just taking my scraper tool to go ahead and get those off. Next, I'm going to take my pumpkin orange paint and I'm going to paint each one. And I am making sure to get the tops, the sides, the bottom. And then I'm going to set those aside to dry. Next, I took these 2 black boards that, of course, from the Dollar Tree, and I need to connect them together. So to do this, I'm actually going to use those orange pieces we just painted. Now, I am not using the pumpkins in this, so I had to figure out a way to cover them. So what I decided to do was I removed the hangers, and now I'm just going to use hot glue and hot glue one to the top, covering the pumpkins, and then one to the bottom. So I did decide to go straight across. As you saw, I was going to angle them, but then I didn't like it. So I'm just going to use some hot glue and hot glue this together by using those pieces. Now, I did decide that I needed to reinforce it a little bit. So next I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to add a few jumbo craft sticks to the middle where the two boards meet. That way it just gives it extra support. Then after those were glued down, I'm going to flip it back over and I'm just going to use a foam brush and some black paint, and I'm just going to dry brush over the orange pieces. Now this one I got a little heavy-handed, as you can see, so I'm trying to fix it by using my orange paint. And then eventually I did just have to paint it over and redo it. And then I did it again. I got a little heavy-handed, so I just gave up. But I still thought it turned out super cute. So I'm just adding a little bit of black highlighting to each of these boards. And see, I did it again. I don't know what it was with this board. See, so this is where I decide, okay, I'm just gonna paint it over again. I gave it 2 coats. And then after that, I'm going to try to do it again. Okay, so the whole reason why I'm making this board is because when I saw this cute little ghost at the Dollar Tree, I absolutely fell in love with her, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate her on the front porch, but I didn't want to do anything to her. Look how cute she is. So I knew that I wanted her to stand, so that's why I'm making kind of this stand for her, and all I'm going to do is hot glue her onto my board. So I'm making sure that the top of the hat, is at the top, and then I move her legs down so they are extended, which I know that is kind of confusing, but you can see how they kind of go in and out. So I pull her legs down and I'm going to hot glue them down. She is so cute. I also bought one for my daughter and she has it hanging in her room. Okay, so now for the skirt, I'm purposely hot gluing it so it puffs up so it looks 3D. So you might see me stick my hand like under the skirt so it shows how it's kind of 3D. Yeah, but she is so cute. And then I did try to hot glue the little sign down, but it kept popping up, so it's not a big deal. All right, so then I wanted to dress her up a little bit. So I had another one of these witches, so I had 3 altogether. And so again, because I have no Halloween ribbon, I cut the skirt off, the tulle part, and I'm just making a little bow with that. But of course, you can use whatever ribbon you have. And I'm gonna hot glue that to this little side of her little hat. But in a sec, you're gonna see that I do change this. And then I took one of those bat rings that are in like the little package with the spider wing rings and the bat rings, and I cut the ring part off, and now I'm hot gluing the bat to the bow. Look how cute. I just love her. See, that's where I say that it's kind of the spooky cute, and she brings in the cute factor for sure. Okay, so next I'm going to take my orange paint and I'm just going to dry brush some of the orange on the black because I just felt like it needed something, like it was too plain. So I'm just quickly dry brushing it on. This is your friendly reminder that if you love what you see today, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Not only does it really help my channel to grow, but it also tells YouTube that you love what you see and you want to see more. So hit that like button to see more of my content. All right, so I'm just adding some orange wherever I see like a hole or a blank spot, and I am paying attention to the edges and the sides as well. All right, so next I grabbed this sparkly ribbon, and this ribbon is really cool. It's like purple, it's black, it kind of just picks up whatever color. So I am just going to cover the orange part of her hat with this, and I did have to do 2 different layers. And I really thought that this added so much to her too. Kind of glammed her up a little bit. Now this is self-adhesive, so I did not have to glue it, and it seems to be holding up fine. And then I went ahead and hot glued the little bow back on exactly where it was. Look how cute. And then I did hot glue the tails down as well. And there she is. How adorable. Okay, so for this next DIY, these are actually handles from paint sticks. So, and these are the bigger paint sticks. And I always keep everything. And I said, one day I'm going to figure out what to do with all these handles. So I finally figured it out. So the first thing I did was go ahead and sand them down. And now I'm going to paint one in orange paint, the second one in purple paint, and then the third one in lime green paint. Let's see if you can figure out what I'm going to do with these, or what these are going to be. Okay, so ignore that they are glued onto this sign. This started off as one thing and then changed. I'm just simply showing you how I made these drip marks. So all I did was run my hot glue on the top and the sides of these little handles. And I made it thick. And then after the glue was dry, I painted the hard glue with black paint. So you've probably seen me do this a ton, this, little dripping method. So yeah, just ignore that they're on this sign. I definitely ended up changing it. So I'm just going to paint black on all three. All right, so at this point, I took them off of that sign because this is when I decided to change my mind. So I had more of these handles, and I decided I needed these to be a little thicker, so all I'm doing is hot gluing the handle or another handle to the back of one of the colored handles. I hope this is making sense. And then I just went ahead and painted over that with whatever color the front was. So see how it made it thicker now. Okay, so then I needed these to stand. So I took one of those blocks in in that pack from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just simply going to hot glue one down to the bottom of each one of my handles. Do you know what these are yet? And then I'm going to paint each one of my blocks with black acrylic paint. So these are going to be potion bottles. They are going to go on a sign for potion bottles. So I thought that was, I don't know, I just saw these and I thought, oh my gosh, these look like bottles. So I'm just going to, like I said, paint each one of these blocks. That way they blend into what we're going to glue them in. And what we're going to glue them in is this awesome cauldron that I got from the Target dollar spot. If you see these, pick it up. In fact, I have two. I wanted two because I wanted to do this. And then I was like, you know what? I can just use the other one for a display. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm just simply hot gluing these down. Now I did have to go in with super glue because this is metal and the hot glue didn't really stick. But I did two in the front and then one towards the back. And then I'm going to take these stickers. See it didn't stick. So I will go in with super glue. Then I'm going to take these little wooden stickers from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to hot glue one to each of my potion bottles. Now, it really bugged me that the orange pumpkin was not in the middle, and I wanted the black pieces on either side, so I switched them. Yes, that kind of stuff does bug me. All right, so next I cut, from using my Cricut, I cut this decal and it says, "Come in for a spell," and I am just going to lay my decals down and rub it on. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, that's okay. You can use stickers, you can use rub-on transfers, you can use stencils, you can handwrite it, you can print something out and Mod Podge it or glue it in there. You can find a window cling. I know the Dollar Tree has a window cling that says pick your poison or pick your potion. You could totally use that. And then just to complete this, of course, I have to add my spider webs. See, so like I said, these things kept coming off because it does, metal. So I'm just using that super glue from the Dollar Tree and gluing it back down. No biggie. All right, so then I'm just putting a little touch of spider web on there. And you can see how a little bit goes a long way. And I'm just doing the faintest bit. And then to finish this off, I'm going to hot glue again, I should have used my super glue. One of those spiders to the top. And that was it. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Yes, it bugged me that there were 2 spiders on the same side, so I had to switch the bat and the spider. But that was it. Look how cute this cauldron came out. So fun. All right, so for the next DIY, I'm using 2 of these witch leg door hangers. And this one, you guys, is so easy. All I did was cut off the legs of each one of these door hangers. And then I just kind of opened a hole at the top. And by using grocery bags, I'm just going to stuff each one of these. Now, I only show me doing one of them because I literally do the same thing on all of them. So I'm just going to stuff and stuff and stuff. I want them to be extremely full. And I am going to use like a skewer to help me get in there, stuff it. And then I'm going to take these poles, and I happen to have 4 of them. Now you can use any kind of stakes or anything. You can even use like those big skewer, like the big ones from the Dollar Tree, like the grilling section. And I'm just going to stuff that in there because we do need these to stand up. So I'm just stuffing it in. And then, of course, some of it has to hang in the bottom. Now, to close the bottom of, like, her leg, I'm going to take one of these mini black zip ties and just zip tie it shut. And you can see that I did leave a little fabric hanging down. So that way it was easier for me to zip tie. So then I just pulled it. And then I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to take some regular size craft sticks because the shoe was, you know, flopping everywhere. So I just cut one in half, and now I'm going to hot glue it so it's attached to the top of her leg, or, well, where the shoe meets the purple, I guess. And then I'm going to cut another one in half and just add some stability to the toe part. So, I mean, hopefully visually you can see what I'm doing here. And that really helped to keep the shoe upright. Then I did go through and I colored this all in with a black permanent marker, but I ended up not liking that look, so I just went back and painted it with black. It made it darker. Okay, so then there was some extra black tulle on the hanger part, so I just cut off a little piece, and then I'm just simply going to tie it around the zip tie to hide it. Now, this doesn't really matter because you don't end up seeing this, but just in case, you can go ahead and cover it. And like I said, I repeated that with 3 other one of these legs. So this only costs $2 to make, you guys. That's it. Okay, so we have one more DIY, but for this, I'm going to let my daughter take over. So we found this really cute pumpkin decorating kit at Target. I believe it was only, yep, it was $10. And it's Winnie from what, Amelia? Hocus Pocus. So what are we going to do?
I'm going to paint it.
We're going to, Sarah, and oh, we're going to paint the pumpkin. And then are we going to stick Winnie in it?
Yeah.
Okay, should we start to paint it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. You're doing such a good job. Make sure it's all covered, okay? Okay, now it's time to put the head in. Yay. See where I poked the hole? Okay. Push real hard. Good job. Okay, now put the cauldron in. The cauldron's gonna go in this hole right here. Okay. Let's see, you gotta push really hard. Push, 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 push. Push, push, push. Got it in. Oh, good job. Push real hard. There you go.
Here you go.
Push this one in. So now that last DIY is complete, it's time to decorate. So come with me. Okay, so here's what my mom's front porch looked like for fall. If you remember, I put that video up a couple weeks ago, and please excuse my appearance. I didn't even know that my pants had a rip in the back until watching this. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so I had these bales of hay already on the front porch. So all I'm going to do is cover them with some creepy cloth because I did want height. So I just decided to keep them on there, but I just covered them. Now, if you see my camera moving a little bit, that's the wind. When I was recording it, of course, was the windiest day ever. So I apologize if it gets a little motion sicky here. So then I took another smaller bale of hay and I'm going to stack that on top of the big one and again cover it with that creepy cloth. And I'm just, see, this is the wind moving my camera. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so now I'm going to take my cute little witch and I'm going to just place her on the smallest little bale of hay. And again, I'm adding my spider web. And then I'm going to add this lantern that I got from Five Below. It was $4. And then I'm going to add some spider web to this. Now, all the spider web that I'm adding, it's actually glow in the dark spider web. Whether it works or not, I don't know. However, I did get it from, I want to say like Spirit Halloween or Big Lots. I don't know. You can get glow in the dark spider web from anywhere, really. All right, next we're going to put our little witch's garden right in the front of our little witch. And then I'm going to do my come in for a spell right in the front of the hay. And then I'm going to take one of these pumpkins that I got from the Dollar Tree. And it is one of those ugly orange pumpkins, but I thought, you know what, this will really stand out. But because it was so windy, I learned that I had to like stick it somewhere. So what I did was stick a skewer in it. And now I'm able to stick it right in the hay. And then you saw I put a little witch hat on it. So now I'm going to do the same thing with these little pumpkins. I stuck a skewer in it, and I'm going to push these in to the smaller hay right in front of the witch. So I'm going to push that down, and I did an orange one. And then in a sec, you're going to see that I grab a white one, and I put that one kind of towards the corner, just like that. And that almost completed that side. All right, so now we're going to move on to the other side of the door, and I picked up this cauldron this year at Target, and it actually is a punch bowl, so it came with a ladle. Obviously, I took it out, and then I just filled it with some of that bubble filler from Amazon, and then I stuck my little double toil and trouble sign in the cauldron. Next, I'm taking more of that glow-in-the-dark spider web, and I'm stuffing it inside the cauldron to hide the filler, but I'm also having some of it kind of like pour out. Then I'm just going to take these pumpkins and put them on the inside. Another reason why I'm using these pumpkins is because if the weather destroys them or gets to them, I don't really care. They were, the foam pumpkins. And then I'm just going to add these. Now, these black and white fabric pumpkins actually came from Target, the dollar spot, and I loved those. And there we go. So now I just kind of made a display of pumpkins over there. Actually, I kind of thought that those white and black pumpkins, it reminded me of Nightmare Before Christmas. It reminded me of Jack Skellington. All right, so then I took another one of these lanterns. And again, I'm putting my spider web on there. And then I'm going to take this little boot that I got from the Dollar Tree and just stick it right in the front. Then I'm going to take these battery-operated candles, and I got these in a set of 5 from Hobby Lobby for $20. I didn't think that was bad, so I just stuck those in my lanterns. Okay, so now I'm going to take these 2 brooms that I got from Spirit Halloween. Of course, you could get witch brooms at any, craft or party place, I think. Then I'm just going to simply hang our broom parking sign on one of the brooms. Now I am going to have to figure out a way to actually anchor this to the brick because it did fall over several times, especially because, like I said, of course, this was the windiest day. And then this cap my mom already had. So at first I stuck him in the front of the brooms, and then you're going to see that I tuck him behind just so he's peeking out. Then it was time to add my little witch legs in her mom's, so I just stuck them out. Look how funny. My mom got a hit out of those legs. Okay, we gonna put your pumpkin down? Okay, put her right there. Is it heavy? Good job. She was so proud of her little pumpkin, and she did such a good job. She loves Hocus Pocus. All right, so then I just stuck Winnie right by my come in for a spell. And the last thing to do was add the wreath that inspired it all. So now the front porch is complete. What do you think? I think this front porch Halloween makeover came out so spooky cute. I love the colors and how I really stuck with the theme of witches. I came up with this, like I said, when I saw my mom's wreath, and I just knew that that was the theme I wanted to go for. And there were so many more ideas I had, but of course her front porch is only so big. So you're going to have to let me know down in the comments what you think about this front porch. Do you have a favorite DIY from today, and have you started decorating for Halloween yet? Or what are your plans? What will your theme be? Usually if there's a theme, I take it and I definitely run. I am a theme girl, and I just love to decorate, if you can't tell. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you got a lot of inspiration and ideas to create some spooky fun DIYs for Halloween. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Also, please give this video a thumbs up because it really helps my channel to grow. Well, until I see you again, I will do some bewitching crafts with you soon. Bye!